Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode and the final episode of 2021 for Who the Hell Asked. I am one of the two hosts, Slade, along with my co-host Byron.
Hello.
And today we're going to be discussing 2021, our overall impressions of everything that happened this year. And we're going to also give out a personal top 5 list of the video games that we played this year, not necessarily games that came out this year for the
Yeah,
first time. So,
there are new games, old games, whether it was on the Switch or on the PS1 first, and all ever ranging. So Slade, 2021, huh?
yeah, so we had a pretty interesting year. I mean, like, overall, we had a bunch of, I think the most interesting thing we talked about here on our channel was the multiple platform fighters that came out from other companies like Nickelodeon and Multiversus towards the end and whatnot.
Yeah, that was certainly that was quite the theme of our channel, more towards the latter end of the year, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then also, a lot of speculation for Smash DLC and a lot of speculation on which characters we're going to get into both those platform fighters. We
Yep.
also covered, pretty much all the direct announcements, all the E3s and
Yep.
state of plays. Basically, just the whole shebang.
Yep.
Just a lot of interesting news that we covered over this
Yep.
past year.
Even including you fucking going MS Paint during, I think it was episode 8,
Oh,
when
the
we were
stock
talking
market stuff, yeah.
about game stonks.
Oh, yeah. Those are good times. I honestly should do more of that, but
More MS Paint there.
oh, for sure. So,
Yeah, but I think the one like layering topic that we briefly mentioned every so often, of course, was probably the biggest topic in gaming. Just the semiconductor shortages in general.
yeah, that's really unfortunate too because like that seems to be the theme of how games performed this year compared to like previous years and whatnot. It's just
Yep.
because there's such a shortages of like conductors for the PS5s and Xbox Series X's and whatnot. You didn't see
Switch.
games for those platforms really succeed either. I mean, hell, I think the Switch sold like less than 30% of what it usually sold this holiday season compared to the last two holiday seasons, which is pretty yikes, right?
Yeah, well, we will definitely get more informed numbers in February, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, but long story short, the console market is not in a very good spot right now.
Neither is the PC market. I think that's in a worse spot, honestly. Because
Yeah,
like
for sure.
3090s for 3 grand, fucking 3060s for a grand. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, because going over our channel, one of the things that we're covering, our most popular videos were definitely the Nickelodeon and Smash reactions and speculations.
Yep, we we capitalized on that while it's hot, and we're going to do the same fucking thing with multiverses. We're gonna try to strike the lightning on that one.
Oh yeah, I think speculating for like crossover fighting games is just my jam, honestly.
It is your jam. For sure. But we also covered some fair bits of controversy. While we didn't touch the biggest one, we did cover some other controversies. The whole Game Explain controversy, the various like Acta Blizzard stuff, including them moving the devs of Crash and Tony Hawk and Spyro to other stuff, which broke our hearts.
Oh yeah.
Titanfall, that whole shit show. Sonic Colors, Ultimate, the Austin Evans controversy, the Switch expansion pack.
Yeah, the Switch OLED itself not being the Switch Pro that everybody wanted, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, people were big mad at that.
Talking about the Switch OLED for a bit, all the insiders in the industry are actually swearing up and down that the chip shortage is what caused the OLED to not be the 4K Pro console that everybody was speculating it was going to be before its announcement. Do you think there's any truth to those rumors?
I'm pressing X on every controller to doubt on that one.
I think there's a real chance that that could have been what happened, possibly. I know that the Steam Deck, which is probably my most anticipated piece of technology coming out, relatively soon, also got delayed into 2022, and that was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, we covered that in episode 42. If you guys want to watch that.
Yeah, Byron's got all these episode numbers on hand. I'm just shooting shit.
I do. I'm a madman. But we also covered some lighter stuff. We gave our first impressions of Mario Party Superstars. We celebrated Smash Bros. Getting sent off. We covered the Game Awards as we usually did.
Yeah, surprisingly wholesome Game Awards this time around. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, we gave our sometimes quote trash opinions on Mario Kart tracks.
Oh yeah, so I guess a couple of us apparently had some very controversial takes on our Mario Kart's tier list, and
yeah,
we also had the character revealer tier list for Smash Ultimate, which
Yep.
I probably droned on for way too fucking long.
Yeah, but also at the beginning of the year, I know I kept track of this. I gave some predictions, and I was fucking off on a lot of them.
Well, I think this year was just a tough year to get a read on because I think in your mind and my mind, this was the gaming industry's year to play catch up due to the pandemic, kind of ravaging the world last year. But we were wrong. It's actually next year that's the catch up year.
Yeah. Next year is going to be the catch up year. Though everything about Microsoft I got right. So Microsoft, for me, the easiest company to predict in the world.
Oh, for sure.
My probably craziest prediction: Twitch would be dead by the end of the year.
Yeah, that was a fucking ballsy prediction. I was like, Byron, I understand that the platform's not profitable, but it's still extremely popular. And I feel like it would take the platform being dead to actually kill it off.
Yeah, and the platform is, in a lot of people's minds, in an even worse place than it was at the beginning of the year.
I feel like that's a trend that's going to continue until the platform is actually dead.
Yeah.
With all the fucking copyright strikes and all that for music going on. Speaking of which, I don't know if you follow Ludwig at all. Because he got exclusive YouTube. You heard about... Yeah. So let me give the viewer some context if they haven't heard. He got an exclusive deal to go to YouTube. And he made a trailer where he blew up a purple car that he got out of. It got inside of a red car. And then Slime, it's like one of the other people that lives in WTHA, when he's really cool, dude. Was like, hold on, you're playing music. You can't play music, can you? And then Ludwig's like, not in this car. Literal first day gets fucking banned for playing copyrighted music on YouTube.
Welcome to YouTube.
It was hilarious.
Welcome to YouTube, but yeah. And I know one thing you're disappointed in, Slade. The KF console isn't among us.
Yeah, where is my KF console, damn it? Nah, I think as soon as the Steam Deck got announced, I kind of just... all my drive for the KF console kind of just... evaporated.
I hope that still comes out, though.
Yeah. I still think the concept of a KFC console is still really cool, but in the end, the Steam Deck having the whole Steam library is just insane.
Yeah, and also I only want that to exist so a YouTuber picks it up and does videos like, what can you cook? What can you reheat in the KF console?
Real talk, I might, we should probably do that on this channel, honestly. You think people would watch?
Maybe. Who the hell knows?
Right? It's like, okay, while I'm playing Fortnite on my KFC console, what am I cooking? And then you just have a camera on it, like, ding, oh, it's done. It's like fucking, grilled cheese or fucking, some random shit in there.
Yeah, holy shit. Uh,
Oh yeah.
so what was your favorite bit of news to cover in 2021?
Oh, that's a really tough fucking question, Brian. Because like I said, I think for me, my jam was obviously the platform fighters and the character speculation for all those and whatnot.
Yeah.
I definitely think I have a lot more passion for those than I do like going over sales numbers for Nintendo. Honestly,
Oh,
which
that's my passion. That's me right
yeah,
there.
because like I think it's interesting going over Nintendo sales numbers and like pointing out trends and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
what
like
those
it's a
could
little
do.
bit different than actually talking about the games themselves and like you get
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying. But yeah, like 2021 was wild for us. But we played a lot of games this year,
Oh, for
didn't we?
sure. Yeah, we've had our fair share of video games, and we're definitely gonna top five our like games we played this year. Like I stated towards the beginning of the video, I think that's gonna be pretty fun. I imagine Byron and I have one game in common, and then the
Yes.
rest of the games are gonna be different. And I think anybody who watches the channel already knows what our one game in common is probably going to be. But
Yes, because we have raved about that before.
yeah, for sure. So before we get into that, because I kind of want to stick on the topic of things we covered and talked about this year.
Yeah.
Byron, what was your favorite thing that we covered this year
Oh yeah.
overall?
Oh boy, my favorite thing. I've got two of them for different reasons.
All right.
One, Sonic Colors Ultimate. This
Yeah,
one,
that was a
this was
shit show.
the wacky topic of the year. And it was such an absolute disaster fest.
I just
That
don't
was
know how they fucked up a port so badly. Like,
like,
come on, man.
how? Like, how do you fuck up something that bad?
Like, I
Like,
know, like, it wouldn't be Sega if they didn't fuck up their Tolkien Sonic game of the year. But come
yeah,
on, man. You can't fuck up a port of the only good Sonic game of, like, the last decade.
you just
Like, come
can't.
on, man. You can't do that.
Like, God, like, if you don't know, there were a whole bunch of glitches, some of which were faked via Yuzu, a Nintendo Switch emulator, but some of them were real. Some of them have been patched out since, but others are just something you can't fix, like the Metal Sonic pop-up looking like something out of 1999 internet.
It's so horrible.
It,
Um,
it it's
so they
horrible.
did patch some of those glitches. Do we know
Yeah,
if the other consoles fared like super well? Because I heard the other consoles had their fair share of issues as well, but like
they had
they
their
were
fair
playable
share.
compared to the Switch version.
Yeah, and some of those have been patched out too. But I will say probably my favorite thing this year honestly was covering the direct on September 23rd. That was one of my favorite things to cover.
Oh,
'Cause
was
that was
that the
a good
direct with
ass direct. That was a good ass direct.
let me which direct was that?
The
Gosh.
September 23rd direct. New Kirby. We found out about the expansion pack.
Oh, the expansion pack. Yeah, that definitely was probably my favorite thing. That's not the platform fighters that we covered. And we also had Yoshi on for that episode as well, which was really cool.
We did have Yoshi Phoenix on for that episode.
Yeah, I definitely like to have him on more episodes for sure.
Yeah, but that just Nintendo Direct in general was like it was so good.
Oh yeah. So in the comments, guys, if you guys watch the video, let us know if you want to see Yoshi in more of our videos. Because honestly, I'd kind of like to have a consistent third voice for me and Byron to bounce our opinions off of and whatnot. And, get some more perspectives and takes. I would
Oh,
like to see us eventually get to like a panel of like 4 to 6 people eventually, but
oh, I want to say my favorite running gag of the year. Oh, it's been X number of days, and I know it's been a thing that's been going on for a while, but like, oh, X number of days since we last saw news of Bayonetta 3.
right. We know we're getting it this next year. That's pretty
Yeah,
much all
and
we
when it
know.
finally happened, it was just like, holy shit, it happened.
Yeah, that was the September 23 direct, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm still like that was my favorite running gag for most of the year. It was just like, holy shit, it happened.
Oh
They
yeah.
remembered it existed. Uh, so what was your favorite topic to cover, Slade, this year?
Okay, so I think we kind of covered it a little bit. I think it was definitely the speculation for the platform fighters.
Yeah.
Mostly Nickelodeon All Star Brawl speculation, just
Yeah.
because like there's a lot of things we knew based off the box art and whatnot that we
Yeah.
could piece together. Okay, this is gonna happen. Like for example, like it was pretty obvious we were gonna get a third Avatar character based on the number of Avatar stages
Yeah.
that were in the game, but we didn't know which one. Like there's legitimate conversation. Like, is it gonna be Toph? Is it gonna be Zuko? Like,
And it ended up being Toph.
yeah, and then we talked extensively about how Nickelodeon had the rights to Garfield, and Garfield was a pretty talked about character, and he ended up being the first and only DLC character so far. Honestly, I think now the conversation about Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is because they've confirmed to add voice acting, and we didn't cover that in an episode.
No, we did not. But yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Yeah, I guess at that point it's like, is this just too late for the
I
game?
think it is at this point. I think it's too late for the game. And I'm actually shocked the Garfield reveal was not saved for 2 days later, because they did the reveal on the 7th, and what was 2 days later was the Game Awards.
I think the reason why they dropped it is because I don't think they had the money to pay for an advertising slot during the Game Awards. That's just
fair.
my take on it.
That's
think
a very
that
fair point. Yeah, because
the Nickelodeon All Star Brawl kind of fucking lost a lot of its luster too.
Yeah.
After its release, because I think the Smash community themselves have overwhelmingly moved on from it. Because
Yeah.
we could talk about the gameplay a little bit now that we're no longer in the honeymoon phase or anything like that. It just feels like a very mashy fighting game where you spam your neutral options at center stage until fucking somebody gets hit, and then you just do this crazy long conversion and fucking kill them.
Yeah.
It's not very fun. It feels very mashy.
Yeah. Spoilers. Slade played that game this year. I didn't.
Yeah. So not only that, I definitely think that the lack of voice acting and I think the sound effects were also kind of low quality as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To where it just kind of felt like it was definitely a budget title, which is not
Yeah.
something you're used to thinking about when you think about the previous work that Ludosity put into their other platform fighters.
Yeah. Slap City. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of unfortunate that's the way it went. I'm already convinced just by looking at it that Multiversus is going to be an infinitely better game.
Yeah. It seems like it has the budget.
Yeah. And
'Cause
I think the premise of doubles is also really interesting instead of the main game format being singles.
Yeah, and also fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's pretty
still-
crazy.
That's still probably one of the most shocking things this year is that we're getting a Game of Thrones character in a platform fighter.
Let's talk about that, Byron. What was the most shocking announcement of this year overall?
Most shocking. God. Oh, I'm gonna give you two. Because
Okay.
they're these two Sora in Smash. I did not think that was happening in my lifetime.
Yeah, honestly, the Nintendo and Sakurai closing the deal with Disney was
Yes.
something that was pretty insane. You thought would never happen and whatnot.
Yeah,
I
I'm pretty
was
sure-
pretty unfortunate to follow a lot of the leaking scene and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I knew the day or 2 days beforehand that it was most likely going to be Sora. But
Yeah.
leading up until that point, the idea of Sora felt like it would have been utterly insane. I actually lived in a reality for a long time where I thought Master Chief or fucking Doom Guy was more likely than Sora. And then
Yep.
that music leak happened, and then boom, we got Sora
Yep.
and fucking Smash, which was crazy. What was the other one, Byron?
And I think the other one, 3D Kirby.
Yeah, I think 3D Kirby, because I think we talked about that in the predictions video where we were talking about a new Kirby title. I think I made an offhand comment where I'm I just feel like Kirby is not a type of character that lends itself well to a 3D environment. Because he's slow, he's floaty, and the multiple jumps don't lead to a lot of skill expression that you see in a lot of 3D platformers and whatnot.
Yep.
But
Well, Hal said, "Fuck you."
yeah, they said fuck you, and we do what we want, and looks really interesting. It's not just 3D Kirby, and it's too soon to call it an open world Kirby because
Yeah.
the level design did appear to be somewhat linear from
Yeah.
what we were looking at. But there's definitely a lot there that's really interesting with that Kirby game.
Absolutely. What was the most shocking story to you this year?
Um, because the thing
Unless
is,
I
Sora is probably the most shocking announcement overall, but
Yeah, that's fair.
outside of that, I would have to say the fact that Mario Party. It's not that Mario Party Superstars got announced because I thought a Mario Party game could happen. It's the fact that it was a culmination of the 64 titles and all the most popular mini games. And it's kind of like the Smash Ultimate of the Mario Party series. I think to me that was probably the most it's not the most shocking announcement, but I think it was the most shocking thing about a video game that was released this year, not including Sora and Smash.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's a concept Nintendo tried, emphasis quotation marks around that, tried with Top 100, or as I've heard some people call it, Mario Party the Flop 100.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's not a good game, and like the mini game collection was definitely not the top 100 collection of the best mini games in the series. They're just flat out factually false, like just straight up.
Absolutely. But yeah, that was pretty shocking. Did not expect Mario Party Superstars.
I guess another thing that was pretty shocking was the fact that Nickelodeon All Star Brawl even existed.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people thought that a Smash type fighting game with beloved Nickelodeon characters was going to be a thing. And honestly, I've been saying for a while, I think these other, platform fighting games could be very successful if they have, recognizable IP, but also quality. Because I think that's the one thing Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl really lacked was quality.
And I think, and maybe this is just me, they gotta lean a little more casual.
Yeah, definitely. Because having no items, the stage play for the most part isn't casual enough. Like, Smash has this balance of both that really works.
There is that one, like, space object moving stage that's kind of like Pokey Flow.
Yeah, but that's one stage, and again, there's no items.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas with multiverses, you're getting, like, the characters in doubles and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely lean more casual. I'm not saying take out all the competitive elements. I'm just saying, you do what Smash does. You can have the best of both worlds.
I think the problem is there's such a stigma that Smash is the only game that could do it. Because we've seen other platform fighters try and fail for the most part. In terms of, like, maintaining, mainstream relevance and popularity. But I think this is all because PlayStation All-Stars back in the PS3 just completely flopped. And now everyone else is kind of scared to, like, was recognized to be scared to try and actually all in it.
Yeah.
And really it's just a shame because PlayStation All-Stars kind of flopped for, like, a lot of its own reasons. Like, in terms of, like, gameplay design decisions with how KOing and taking, lives worked in that game.
Yeah, like, it had great ideas, just did not execute.
And then not only that, but they did a very shoddy job collecting characters, too. I mean, when you think about it, they couldn't get Dante from Devil May Cry. They got the DMC reboot version. Everybody hated that. They couldn't get Solid Snake. They couldn't get Crash. They couldn't get Spyro.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Cloud Strife. They couldn't even get the guy from Legend of the Dragoon, who was supposed to be in the game, but for some reason that didn't happen. They just couldn't get a lot of the iconic Sony characters. And then the ones we got felt like they were designed very poorly. So... yeah. But that has nothing to do with 2021. That's an old-ass game. So, okay, so sticking with the, tunes of announcement. Byron, what was your favorite thing that was announced this year?
Favorite thing that was announced?
And why is it Mario Party Superstars?
Why is it That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah. Like it's Mario Party, like while Super like did a good job, Superstars one-upped it, honestly.
Yeah, because that's the thing with like superstars. Like with Mario Party Super, it kind of felt like we gave the game a lot of praise because it went in the right direction. It finally got us out of that fucking car and allowed
Yeah.
everyone to have their own spaces on boards to be able to buy items and go for stars and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I felt like outside of that, it was just extremely bare bones like gameplay and whatnot.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, I see a few of the same criticisms for Superstars as well.
Yeah.
Not on the same extreme, because I think Superstars boards are way better. But, like, there are obviously still some flaws that don't
Absolutely.
help board play. But, like, Superstars minigame selection's also, like, way better as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, to me, it's just Superstars is the Smash Ultimate of the Mario Party series.
Yeah.
And I don't see Mario Party doing it ever again, especially because I don't think and we're gonna need to see the quarter sales numbers
Yes.
for this fiscal year for quarter 4.
Yes.
Because when we see those, that's going to be very telling in terms of like what happens with Mario Party, Metroid Dread, and all that. Because Metroid Dread was Nintendo's most successful game this year, from
Yeah,
my understanding.
and we'll actually get to see stuff about the Switch OLED.
Oh yeah, I don't. Spoilers on my opinions of the OLED. I don't think the OLED's gonna do terribly well at all. I've already seen holiday numbers for all of the consoles, just this holiday season alone.
Yeah.
And it's not something that like Nintendo could help because this was the video game console market overall. But
This is
to
just
be a
the-
long story short, everybody did terrible.
Well, yeah, it was just the technology market overall.
Yeah, overall technology this year did not do very
Yeah.
well.
So we talked exciting announcement. What was your most disappointing announcement, Slade?
Most disappointing announcement. Oh God!
Whether
Now we're
it's a
gonna
game
trigger
or something else in the industry. So
Okay, let's talk about like disappointing in terms of overall. I think towards the beginning of this is before we even knew that like we were getting an open world Sonic and Sonic Frontiers.
yeah,
I think the game that was announced initially was Sonic Colors being
Ultimate.
rebooted, right?
yeah,
Sonic Colors Ultimate. That was probably my biggest disappointment overall. There's probably something else in there I can't think of. But I remember thinking, it's like, damn, out of all the Sonic games they choose to port or reboot, they chose Colors. And even though Colors is probably the best game of the last decade in terms of 3D Sonic, I still felt disappointed because I feel like at least the adventure titles could use like a reimagining in today's day and age.
agreed.
And they could do like a 2-in-1 pack or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know, Byron, what was your most disappointing announcement of the year?
Hearing about fucking Activision basically killing my boys.
Oh,
Crash.
I have to bring that in. I agree with you. With the abandonment
moving-
of the Crash games, yeah.
Moving Toys for Bob to basically be in the Call of Duty dungeon, and moving Vicarious Visions to basically getting sucked within the blizzard. The literal blizzard.
That was tragic because I feel like they didn't set up Crash 4 It's About Time for success at all.
No.
And fucking when it predictably like flopped because of the lack of setup for success, because games are 100% about marketing just as much as they are about the gameplay actually being quality.
Yes.
Crash 4 It's About Time was terribly marketed outside of the internet, in my opinion.
Yep.
And not only that, but it was also fucking, released on the PS5 or not PS5. It was released on the PS4 and the Xbox One, right? But it's like at the end when people are already talking about the PS5 and all that, there's bigger news and fish to fry that's going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Nobody wants to buy this game because there's cooler things coming out like Ratchet and Clank and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just felt like the game wasn't all that set up well for success. But I think the one thing that really killed it more than anything else is the fact that it wasn't released on Switch on launch.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
I think that was the nail in the coffin because I feel like, in terms of the Insane trilogy and the Reignited trilogy, the most successful platform for those types of games is always going to be the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, absolutely, because Switch owners love platformers.
Yes. So.
Oh yeah. One last thing before we get into probably our second half.
I'll finish up my thoughts after, but go ahead.
I forgot one more shocking thing that happened this year.
Oh.
Super Mario Party's free online update.
Oh yeah, because that was stunning, and I guess that should have been a precursor to like, okay, we're getting a Mario Party game this year because they're testing online play for the series in general, which honestly, long overdue. That was definitely stunning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, to finish off your point.
Okay, so back on the Crash news with Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions, I think to me the big disappointment was the fact that because Crash 4 It's About Time flop, and they kind of dismantled those companies and put them into Activision and Blizzard, which really sucks, is that was also the end for the Spyro series as well.
Yeah, Spyro never had a chance to even get a fourth game. Crash,
and that, to me, is what's the most tragic, because I actually love Spyro so much. Yeah. Way more than Crash, in my opinion. And I'm just like, man, we're not going to get a Spyro 4 game because fucking Crash flopped.
Yep.
And that, to me, was utterly tragic.
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree. Yeah. Pour one out for the Purple Dragon.
Yeah, just pour one out for Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions. Imagine working for a toxic company like Active Blizzard, where lawsuits about sexual harassment and a bunch of other shit are going on. And you get taken away from your passion project to work on yearly Call of Duty releases. Pour one out for them, guys.
Yeah, or get put in the literal blizzard. But from downer stuff we didn't cover because we didn't want to touch that with a 1,000-foot pole, to stuff we got arm, elbow, body deep into.
Talk to me, Byron.
And that is the games we played this year.
That is right. So we're going to go over some games we played this year. We're going to create a top 5 list, and we're going to kind of give our reasoning why. But we're going to go ahead and start out with some honorable mentions and whatnot. And I'm going to surprise Byron with a couple. So I've played, a good portion of games this year. I was probably less active this year than compared to other years, just because the pandemic has really been hitting my place of work really hard over the past couple of years.
Spoilers, it has to do with mail. That's all.
Yeah, I've been working like 50 hours every week nonstop.
Yeah, we're barely able to get the show out, but we get it out for you, the viewers, because you need that gaming news every week.
But without further ado, let me go over some of my honorable mentions for games that didn't make my top 5. So obviously we talked about this quite a bit, but Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl did not make my top 5.
I'm surprised they even got an honorable mention from you.
Well, it's a game I played this year for the first time. I felt like it was worth talking about. Again, this is a game that's more fun to talk about than it is to actually play. It's just a lack of quality for me is just the killer.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, Byron, what's one that you've played that didn't make your top 5?
And it's probably because I didn't get enough, I feel like, playtime with this one. I'm going to put Mario Party Superstars in honorable mention.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you did that. That's crazy, because you know what? That's the one I thought would surprise you. Yeah, same here for Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah,
yes.
I feel like I haven't gotten as much playtime as I would have liked with Superstars. There, like Slade said, like earlier, there are definitely some flaws with it, and obviously we're kind of still waiting to see if there's going to be DLC updates.
Spoilers, I don't think there will be.
Yeah, but I still think Superstars was one of the more enjoyable games that I played this year.
Yeah, so obviously it's not in either of our top five. The thing about Superstars is I think it is a top four, maybe top three Mario Party game all time. I guess if we ever do another Mario Party tier list, we could talk about how it, relates to some of the other Mario Parties and whatnot on
Oh
said
yeah,
tier
'cause we
list.
did that tier list like 2 or 3 months before Superstar.
Yeah, oh yeah. I kind of wish we had waited to do it because then it would have been, better for the content. But that's okay. It happens. But
Well,
the thing
we
about Superstars, go ahead, go ahead.
well, I don't. Oh no, we did. Never mind. Never mind. Go on.
Okay. So the thing about Superstars, even though I think it has the best collection of mini games in the
Yeah.
entire franchise, and I think the online play is actually fantastic. I
Yeah.
don't think we're give the game enough credit for really being successful online. I know some of the mini games feel difficult to play, but you can learn consistency with like some of the delay and whatnot.
Yeah, but it is certainly one of the best online experiences on the Switch I've ever had.
Yeah, I think to me, in terms of like online experience on the Switch, I think the only game I would put ahead of it is probably Mario Kart 8, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah.
But overall, absolutely fantastic Mario Party game. I've spent every Mario Party since Mario Party 8 dunking on how bad the series have gotten. So it's nice to talk about a recent Mario Party game and be like, yeah, this game's really good. Okay, so what's another? I guess we both talked about that game extensively. So Byron, what's another game you played that didn't make your list?
It almost made the top 5. Spyro 1, actually. I
Spyro
played
1, interesting choice.
Yeah, I played both Spyro 1 and Spyro 2 for the first time this year, and I played both of those over my Twitch channel, uh, which is going to be a running theme for a lot of these games. But I played both. I definitely would put Spyro 1 over Spyro 2. I had a little bit of a better time overall with Spyro 1 than Spyro 2, though there were higher highs in Spyro 2 than in Spyro 1. But I do think overall, I'm glad I started playing this series. And I played it the PS1 versions, not the what the fuck, Reignited trilogy. But yeah, it's a fun 3D platformer series. I will definitely be playing Spyro 3 in 2022. But out of the two that I played this year, I would put Spyro 1 above 2, and Spyro 1 didn't quite make the top 5 for me.
I think for me, for the both those Spyro games, I think 2 is my favorite one in the original trilogy. Then I go 1 and then 3. But
Yeah.
overall, I think that's a pretty solid choice. And you barely missing your top 5 again. You've played a fair larger portion of video games than I have this year, so
Yes.
I'd imagine that's a pretty nice accomplishment overall. As I said, it just made a pretty positive impression on you.
Yeah.
All right, so game on my list that I played for the first time this year that didn't quite make my top 5, and this is kind of a caveat because I technically did play this game before, but it's a different version of the game. For the very first time, I played Ocarina of Time Master Quest for the Legend of Zelda series.
Oh,
'Cause-
what is the Master Quest for?
So Master Quest is, I kind of want to call it a Nintendo-made ROM hack of the Ocarina of Time, where basically they redo all the puzzles and enemies and all that for the dungeons.
Mhm.
And you're basically, all the dungeons are completely different. So, like, where you go for items, keys, enemy layouts, puzzles, things like that. It's like playing Ocarina of Time, but it's completely different. And obviously, I've played Ocarina of Time all the way back when I was a kid. It was my second Zelda game ever after Majora's Mask. I actually ended up playing Majora's Mask first, but
Yeah.
obviously, I still would sit here and tell you that Ocarina of Time, for its time, is one of the greatest video games ever made, no question. But it's obviously like one of those games where like it hasn't aged quite as well as, other games. that I would say that are on my list. Byron,
Hey,
what's
maybe.
another game you got there?
Well, I was gonna first say, hey, maybe in the future you'll be able to play Ocarina of Time via PC port soon.
Right? Because didn't the
Yeah.
source code get leaked for the game or something?
Yeah, it's pretty. I think at this point fully decompiled. People just have to start making the PC port.
That's crazy.
Wait, yeah, but the third and final honorable mention I have for this year is Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I played I started Adventure DX at the end of last year, but I did finish it in 2021. And while I enjoyed it, God, at least one third of the game just made me go groan. Now, there wasn't as much groan worthy with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I had more fun with that, and I will say, gem hunting, I didn't like it in single player. I didn't like the changes they made. You only had the gem radar. You could only find one gem instead of three. So you could find all three. But play gem hunting multiplayer. That is some of the funnest multiplayer that I have had in 2020.
Oh yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle definitely gets its multiplayer, right? I think that's one thing that I missed from the series overall.
Yeah, and honestly, most of the gameplay styles I really enjoyed in Adventure 2. It was just a fun time. I'm slowly but surely dipping my toes into the main Sonic franchise, slowly but surely.
So, speaking about Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure, a lot of people, because I've had this debate with like a lot of people about the Sonic games, a lot of people will tell me that the original Sonic Adventure is better than Sonic Adventure 2. And my response to that is, did you even play Sonic Adventure? Big the Cat is a playable character in that game, and that alone fucking disqualifies it from any fucking better conversations.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. I'm gonna be Mr. Hot Take. I did not hate the big fishing as much as a lot of people
fuck.
did, honestly.
Guys, this is the Hot Takes channel. You heard it from Byron first. Big the Cat Sonic Adventure DX is not that bad, apparently.
No. I'm just saying Big the Cat, his gameplay style isn't as bad as people think.
And I think Byron's fucking wrong. It's terrible as hell.
Have you played Amy, though?
Okay, I'm not defending Amy either. This isn't like, okay, this character's worse, therefore this character's fine.
That's fair. I'm not saying Big is the greatest gameplay style. No, far from it. I'm just saying, hey, I don't think it was as bad as people had said it was.
I think you're fucking crazy. I think it is as bad as people say.
Surprisingly quickly, though. So maybe that's just a me thing.
Fair enough. Can't argue with somebody's own personal experiences. All right, my last honorable mention, if it were, we got to see, and I guess we didn't talk about this actually a lot on the channel, it's surprising. We got to play the Pokemon MOBA game that was, I think, announced a year prior and then kind of went dark on news ever since. Pokemon Unite for Nintendo Switch and mobile devices.
Yep, Pokemon Unite.
And I still play a lot of that game with most of my friends today simply because we just enjoy playing together. It's nothing really to do with the game's merits itself, but that was a game that was pretty interesting for me. I think has a fun gameplay loop. I think the problem is the cosmetic items in the game, as well as a lot of the other practices, are obviously stupid and shitty.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a modern day MOBA game that's also on a mobile. It's also on your phone, so that's to be expected.
Yeah.
All right. So without further ado, Byron, let's talk about our top fives. You ready for this?
Yes, you go first.
No. I insist you go first.
Okay. So there was a series that, while I had played one entry of this, it was an entry people are very divisive about. That being Super Paper Mario. I had played that game, I think near launch in like 2008. I enjoyed it because I'm a platform, because I love platformers. I didn't really know that this was an RPG series. Now, I think Slade can attest to this. Is the literal opposite in this case. I don't generally play RPGs.
That is true.
If you want RPGs, fucking Slade is your guy. But I played both Paper Mario games in 2021. And I'm putting, this might be controversial to some people, I'm putting TTYD as number 5 in my top 5. I still enjoyed this game quite a bit. I just had more issues with TTYD than with Paper Mario 64. It took way more time to get to chapters. I was on the struggle bus for more bosses. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of the stage battle mechanics. Like, oh, you gotta watch out for the crowd. They're gonna throw fucking cans and shit at you, or the stage can fall. Though I will say that came in clutch a surprising number of times, killing enemies. But I still enjoyed my time with the game, but not as much as 64. But it's still top 5 this year.
Wow, so you played both of the Paper Mario games this year.
Yeah, I played 64 in August, and I just beat TTYD maybe a week and a half ago from when we're recording this.
That's really interesting, because that means recency bias didn't play any factor into it either, because you already yeah, I think this game was really good, but this one's, in my opinion, is better. Yeah. Which is really fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm coming from this as someone who doesn't like RPGs. Now, these may be the only two Paper Mario games I touch besides Super, going back to that, because I'm interested to see what I think of that now. But I definitely enjoyed my time with those games, for sure. But it's not gonna make me go play other RPG series.
Yeah. No. So talking about TTYD specifically, because we mentioned that it's a game that's obviously amazing and fantastic. Let's go over some of the pros and cons compared to the original, because I think that's what we're talking about. So obviously the big con for Thousand Year Door is backtracking, incessant backtracking in almost all, if not half, the chapters.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty annoying. I will say that. There wasn't as much of that in Paper Mario 64, but
definitely products of their time, for sure, because they wanted to make sure they're increasing, players' play times of those games to feel
But I do get why people really, 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 really love this game.
For sure. It definitely felt like outside of... Go ahead.
Yeah, I get the love for it. I may not have the exact same level of love, but I still think I enjoyed my time with it. It was fun.
For sure. Okay, so on to my number 5 game. My number 5 game, again, this is the list of games we played for the first time this year.
And both new and old.
Yes. I played Tales of Arise, and I got the PC version for Tales of Arise. So, I really enjoyed Tales of Arise overall. I think, for me, the combat was buttery smooth. It's kind of different because you're transitioning from 2D to full 3D combat. It kind of felt... I don't want to say Tales of and Monster Hunter kind of had this weird child together.
Yeah.
But it did feel like there were some similarities when you fought bosses anyway. Unfortunately, the interesting gameplay doesn't translate well to the regular enemy encounters. It kind of feels like you just mash on the regular encounters until they die. I think the thing that makes Arise interesting for the series overall is they really decided to balance resources in terms of making them more scarce and difficult to obtain. So, for example, they realized that orange gels, in terms of restoring magic and TP and whatnot, were infinitely more, what's the word I'm looking for? Valuable than using, apple gels or like anything that restores HP, because people would just use HP restoring spells.
Yeah.
So they made it a point to really limit your access to magic restoring items. And they also made it a point to make those items very expensive as well. To the point to where if you wanted to get a whole bunch of them, you'd have to grind a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think a lot of this was offset by, modern video game decisions to include a lot of, consumable items as DLC.
Yeah.
So you could, pull out your wallet and you could buy, a lot of these items, which I really hate that about video games nowadays, honestly. I don't think I'm in the minority when I say that. But thankfully, I feel like that didn't impact my enjoyment and playthrough of Tales of Arise as well. Tales of Arise is also, fucking beautiful as well.
Yeah.
I think it's the first Tales of game that got a legit full-on, AAA studio game type budget from Bandai Namco. And it definitely shows. I love the art style, and I think up until the last chapter of the story is really good. Unfortunately, it kind of felt like it's just, with modern day RPGs and video games, their stories are a lot shorter than the, 60 to 80 hour epics of the PS1 to PS3 era.
Yeah.
I feel like we're long past that era, unfortunately, of RPGs and video games, which makes me sad, but it's also understandable because of just how much, graphics and, the technology is being pushed nowadays to where you really can't spend as much time on that as you could before. But yeah, that's my 5th game. So, Byron, what is your number 4 game?
Paper Mario 64.
All right. Yep. So, you said that this was better than the Thousand Year Door for you. So, talk to me why.
There obviously was not as much backtracking. There wasn't as much, for TTYD, besides the prologue, chapter 1 and chapter 2, it took me, at least, an hour plus to get to each chapter, and I kind of, I get, you want to, try to unlock the chapters, blah, 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 but, you can do it in a more concise way. 64, it was just okay, here's how you can get to it, except chapter 4, but getting to chapter 4 is fucking kind of vague, but for the most part, it's hey, get this thing, there you go, you get to the chapter. Well, you get more into, the moments, the chapters quicker.
For sure.
Yeah.
Would you argue that, and I understand you could probably get this all while you're casually playing through the game without having to backtrack, but what about getting all the bulb seeds for chapter 6 to get into chapter 6?
Oh.
And speaking of which, I think chapter 6 was the one chapter where I'd point to and say, yeah, there's your backtracking.
So there's a funny story on that. I got all the seeds, but the one that was in town.
Did you run all over the map looking for it?
Yes. I somehow, my dumb brain, I got all the other ones because I'm okay, I could see this guy. I know to come back to him later. My dumbass somehow forgot the one that was in town that I passed by at least a dozen times.
That's amazing. Okay,
but that's more a fault of me than the game. Honestly, that wasn't that big of a deal, honestly. Because, you find the bulb seed characters relatively easily. At least I found them.
Yeah, and you can find them without having to backtrack at all.
Yeah.
Even on your first playthrough, just because if you see them, you're going to talk to the NPC if you've played any RPG ever.
I didn't play any, and I knew to do that.
Yeah, so going on the charm of Paper Mario and, Paper Mario TTYD, the reason why I love the original over TTYD as well. I just feel like ultimately, while TTYD was kind of that cool, edgy phase for the Paper Mario series, there's a lot of darker tones and whatnot, which I think makes it great in its own way. But I felt like the original was more, this is Mario, and this is the Mario universe. It just felt thematically more fitting overall.
Yep, I can agree with that, yeah.
But not only that, I also think that the chapters were just better overall. Like you said, with the exception of Chapter 6 for me, because it's not just getting into Chapter 6 that's kind of backtracky, but it's also being in the chapter itself. I have to run to the edges to get all the quest items, then run back to the center. And you're kind of running back and forth everywhere multiple times. That's definitely, to me, one of the more backtracky parts of the game. But really, outside of that, I didn't have any problems with any of the chapters. And I think the most, memorable designs in the Paper Mario series have all come from the first Paper Mario. So, like, you have the Toy Box World, you have the Haunted Manor, and then you went from the Haunted Manor into the Desert Gulch. Yeah, that was really cool. You got to raid an ancient tomb pyramid.
Yeah. Oh. And I will say the funny thing, in both games, the island chapters were my favorite.
Oh, yeah, the island chapters were always really good. Because, Yoshi's one of probably my favorite Mario character in the entire series. So going to Yoshi's Island was really cool. For sure. Yeah.
What was number 4 for you, Slade?
All right, so I talked about this series a bit last year because it was probably my pandemic series of the entire year. This is a series that I always lavish heaps of praise on whenever I get the opportunity to, simply because I just want to see more people play this series. But my number 4 game is The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4.
Okay.
Which is also the finale of the Cold Steel arc of the Legend of Heroes games. So, for the uninitiated, the Legend of Heroes series is a series of RPGs from being developed by Neon Falcom, one of the OGs of the gaming industry in terms of RPGs in general and whatnot. Back in 2001, they made... they kind of rebooted the series with the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky for the PSP.
Yeah.
And that game has kickstarted a series that has spanned, I think, going 14 games now total.
Jesus Christ.
Which is pretty insane. And they're all connected, canon, very important to the stories. It's not like Kingdom Hearts where the spin-offs aren't actually spin-offs and the stories conflict stuff like that.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention, it's just fucking Kingdom Hearts.
No, not even close. Not even close. The thing that makes the Legend of Heroes series, the Trail series in particular, so good is the fact that whenever you talk to an NPC at any point in the story, and then you progress a different story event, that NPC will have different dialogue whenever you do any form of progression. So it makes you feel like the world is evolving as you go, and it kind of makes the world feel like a living, breathing world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The one thing that I think the Legend of Heroes series does better than literally every other RPG on the face of the planet is world building. And that's actually stunning because there's a lot of giants out there like the Mass Effect series, you have the Fallout series, and I guess some people would also put the Elder Scrolls series in that, I think in terms of world building as well. But I think all of them have a shadow cast by the Legend of Heroes series. Because, like I said, when you talk to somebody, and then you talk to somebody again in real life, you're not going to hold the exact same conversation every time you talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Real world life events and whatnot kind of take us by storm. Our daily routines are... mostly the same, but sometimes there's something that changes them. And you're going to have a different experience every day. I think that's what the Legend of Heroes series does amazing compared to every other video game series out there, is because it feels like all these characters are in a living, breathing world that goes on. And not only that, but it's also the last modern turn-based RPG still on the market. Because I feel like the turn-based RPG is slowly dying out outside of reboots and spin-offs and remakes and all that.
Spin-offs, yeah.
So now Trails of Cold Steel 4 is the epic finale to the Cold Steel series spanning 4 games. And it evolves the combat in a way from Trails of Cold Steel 3 that continues to make it, fascinating. The one thing that the Trail series does really well is it's like they have the turn-based combat and grid combat of like Fire Emblem and whatnot, but they implement the materia and customization system of Final Fantasy VII. So like,
Okay.
does a lot of amazing things well. I would wholeheartedly recommend everybody play this series if you're into RPGs, especially because world building is not done like this anywhere else. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Byron. Long-winded rant about one of my favorite RPG series. What is your number 3 game?
So this is a series I've touched for the very first time this year. That is Sly Cooper. And I played the first game in the series, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. And stealth platformer. Love it. The game was so good. I'm like, I've never done stealth in a platformer, and I'm like, yo, this is really fucking good.
Oh yeah,
So
because I think the one thing I liked about Sly is
yeah,
when it comes to stealth and platforms, when stealth always feels like it's something that's tacked on and done very
yeah,
poorly or frustrating. Whereas in
absolutely.
Sly, being a core gameplay mechanic makes it very fun. But go on, sir.
Yeah. So this was a game I did not 100% my first playthrough. Excuse me, my first playthrough. But I'm going back to this game in 2022, and I'm gonna 100% it on stream on video. I can tell you that for a fact. Now, I don't ordinarily do that with games I play for the first time. I'm like, I'm gonna go back maybe like I'll maybe go back like a year, like 2 years, 3 years or so. Nah, it's like I want to go back soon because it's that good.
Are there any plans to play the sequels, Byron?
Honestly, from watching like some reviews, not really.
Interesting. I actually like the
Yeah,
third one quite a bit. The second one was definitely drop off for me.
maybe I'll try them like off stream, but it's kind of like the same problem that I have with Jack and Daxter. I loved the first game. I hate the direction they went with the second and third games.
Fair enough.
Which seemed that I don't know why that's such a big problem with me and Sony platformers. There aren't a certain other series I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, but, but like it's just like keep what work. Like I get changing with the times, but like come on. But play Sly 1 if you haven't. I played it via the PS2 version. The first time I might for the 100% playthrough play through the collection that was on PS3,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not 100% sure on that yet.
All right. So moving on to my number 3 game of the year. And this is a game Byron and I played in common and might be on the top of his list.
Oh,
Not entirely
no.
sure. But my number 3 game of the year is the 2021 Video Game of the Year awarded by
Oh,
the Game
wow.
Awards. It Takes Two.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I cannot lavish this game with enough praise, in my opinion, because cooperative multiplayer platforming, on top of all the other genres of games it really touched into, also simultaneously being a puzzle game, makes this one of the most memorable and unique experiences I've ever experienced with a video game. It's like if you took the concept of Legend of Zelda Four Sword Adventures, but then you applied it to a 3D platformer with like lots of puzzles and like stuff like that, and had a lot of other interesting, unique gameplay mechanics and designs. You
Yeah.
get what It Takes Two ended up eventually being, and I think to me, this was not only the best game to have come out this previous year, but it's also one of my favorite games this year as well, just in general that I've played.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm probably gonna wait to like talk about it more because I know this is gonna be on Byron's list somewhere as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic game, 10 out of 10. Would recommend everybody play it, even if you don't like EA. Like this is one of the games where this is EA, the good guys in the company versus like the bad guys.
Yeah. And hey, EA didn't have as many controversies this year as you would expect.
And I think Active Blizzard definitely took all of those up for
That
sure.
that and Ubisoft.
in Ubisoft.
That's a rant for another day.
All right, Brian, what's your number 2 game that you played this year?
So, this will come as a bit of a shock. I never played the first game in the Ape Escape series until this year.
Wow.
And I put that at number 2. It was, I believe, if it wasn't the first, it was definitely the second game that I played this year in 2021. And, yep, it's Ape Escape. Like, you can sum up all 3 games as, like, it's Ape Escape. And sometimes that's a good thing, having more of the same thing, but reiterate on it. But the first game was so fun. It was quite a unique experience. And it was a weird experience having played the series in literally the opposite order. Like, I played 3, like, near launch. I then played 2, like, a decade later. And then I played 1, like, this year. So fun. And this, like Sly, I'm going to 100% this one in 2022.
I didn't realize that you didn't actually play the entirety of the trilogy, because I know you swore by that series and really loved it.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And that's only me going off of beating 100%ing 3 before and having beaten 2, like, a few years ago. I never played 1 until this year.
That's incredible. Didn't we cover the studio going out of business or something in one of our episodes?
Sony Japan Studios.
Yeah.
While it wasn't as, like, heartbreaking as the Acta Blizzard stuff with Crash and Spyro, because I knew with the Sony one it was inevitable, but it was still sad that it happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Not Acta Blizzard, Toys for Bob and Vicarious Vision slipped up one time, and that was enough to be like, no, we're cutting the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Sony Japan Studios, they weren't going in the direction that Sony is going these days.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, doesn't matter which game in the series, play an Ape Escape game. The controls might be a little weird, but you'll get used to the controls, and it's fun. It's really fun.
All right, for my number 2 game of the year, and this might be shocking to a lot of people because I love RPGs, but this is a all-time classic that I never got the chance to play until it released on Steam, to the surprise of everyone this year.
Yeah,
and
literally.
will hopefully bode very well, considering I think it's like one of the best-selling Steam games of all time, if not the best-selling Steam game of all time, which is fucking insane.
It certainly is probably like one of the best-selling like RPG games on Steam.
For sure. Persona 4 Golden. So
yeah,
that game was incredible, to say the least. And I think you've probably said that about any Persona game that came out after Persona 3.
Yeah.
But Persona 4 Golden, so what a memorable adventure, because you play as a protagonist. I guess you know Narukami if you've seen the anime. If not, you can name him, whatever. Moves to a new town, goes to school, and he's basically trying to solve the mysteries of the murders going on in the town, while giving you that classic Shin Megami Tensei RPG style of play, mixed with the slice of life and school elements that the Persona series is so well known for at this point.
Yeah.
So absolutely amazing, fantastic game. I know Persona 5 was my introduction to the series. Like a lot of like mainstream people, and I've played 3 quite a bit, but I never got my chance to play 4 up until it dropped on us from Steam. And I think that's crazy because now we're going to see a lot of the Atlas library hitting, Steam. Kind of like how we see a Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, which stunned me, like, literally, like, a couple of, like, weeks ago at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
But, honestly, amazing, fantastic game. I think my one criticism is it's definitely on the easy side, even if you, like, turn up the difficulty, like, a fair bit, compared to Persona 5 and Persona 3. I think it's probably the easiest game in the franchise overall, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. The story by itself, along with its memorable cast, is just enough to keep you hooked, and Amazing game. I would wholeheartedly recommend it. I think it's part of the Steam Winter Sale going on right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Steam Winter Sale.
If you are looking for RPGs on Steam right now, Persona 4 Golden, right there, honestly. Give it a shot. All right, Byron. So let's talk about your personal game of the year. And if I'm not mistaken, we already talked about it a little bit.
Yep, It Takes Two is my personal game of the year. Probably the most fun, unique, exciting, and enthralling experience that I have ever had with a video game in a long time. Unique concept. It's co-op. It was one of the few games that I'm like, Slade, we gotta fucking play this.
Yeah, Byron was very insistent we play it because I was like, I don't want to buy an EA title and make an Origin account and all that, but Byron was absolutely insistent on it, and I'm like, okay, I have to do it.
And would you say it was worth it?
Absolutely. Worth every penny. Honestly, I'd buy the game a second time because that's how much I felt like it was worth.
Yeah, hell, maybe in like 2 years' time, we'll go back, we'll actually like 100% it, we'll go through it again when we've forgotten about the game, what it's all about, and yeah.
Oh,
yeah, 'cause it's that good. It's that good. You will have to take a bit to like forget the story and stuff, but it's still really fucking fun.
I feel like the story is pretty unforgettable for the most part.
Well, there's one part that's unforgettable, I will say.
The part, okay, I can spoil it. The part with the plushy elephant. Oh my god, that's gonna stick with me for the rest of my days.
that will stick with you till the end of time.
Like, honestly, like, the character was like, I need therapy. After it's like, I need therapy too. Shit.
Yeah, we needed
that shit was dark as hell. But
yeah, I hope there are more games that are made like It Takes Two.
Yeah, I hope Mr. Ferris keeps making video games. I fucking love this band.
Yeah. That or just like any other developer, if you like, because like we need more games, not just by Hazelight Studios. We need more games like It Takes Two.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the thing is, like, seeing the evolution of Mr. Ferris going from being fuck the Oscars guy to like making these absolute masterpieces. As I said, I think A Way Out was a very good game. Don't get me wrong, because it was like a co-op like shooter. But it wasn't groundbreaking or nothing that I felt like we haven't seen before. Whereas It Takes Two took that concept to the next fucking level and beyond.
Yes.
And, like, I can't imagine video gaming without this man now. Like, I think he's a masterclass developer, and I'm watching every single product he puts out there with, what's the studio's name again? I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
Hazelight Studios.
Hazelight Studios, yeah. Everything those studios put out with that man, I'm going to be watching with great interest.
Yeah, and like...
Dude's masterclass.
If we get like a spin-off series, if we get a game that's just like very similar, if we get a direct sequel or something, like hopefully it's something in the style of It Takes Two.
Yeah.
And maybe one day, maybe we'll play A Way Out one day, but...
I'd like to eventually, but again, I don't think personally it does anything super groundbreaking. I know Byron's not a fan of third-person shooters either.
Yeah, but It Takes Two. My game of the year. It's so good. Grab a friend, play it. Only one person needs the copy.
For sure.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, my game of the year for 2021.
Absolutely incredible.
Fucking two.
All right. So as you guys know, I made It Takes Two my third game on my list, and my second game was Persona 4 Golden. I feel like it's a really stacked competition. Like, so Slade, what did you play for the first time that beat out those two masterclass experiences?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
I'm genuinely curious.
I put this off for a few years because this is a certain little indie game that came out in the incredibly stacked year of 2017.
Oh.
That I never got the chance to play. I think I bought it back in 2019, but it kind of just sat in my backlog for all that time. But now I finally got a chance to play it. It has all of its DLC expansions and all that released as well in that time. And it's probably right now outside of Elden Ring, in terms of which sequels are we talking about, the most anticipated and talked about fucking sequel people are begging for news on.
Yep.
I am talking about Hollow Knight
Okay.
by Team Cherry. So, Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game that is made by an indie developer who works with Team Cherry.
Yep.
That's a, kind of a Souls-like Metroidvania, if that makes sense. Because, you have your exploration and whatnot you see in Metroidvanias and whatnot. So, like, you can break certain walls, you can explore with your abilities, you get mobility, abilities allow you to explore more. There is a large collection of boss fights, which I think is what sets Hollow Knight apart from the rest of the Metroidvanias of like the entire genre. Because it feels like a combination of playing a Souls-like Castlevania game with Mega Man style boss fights, if that makes sense. I think because there's a lot of, abilities that you get in terms of mobility as well as charms that improve the knight's capabilities and whatnot, that no matter how you decide to play the gameplay always feels fresh and absolutely incredible. I think the art style is just absolutely stunning and blows me away. And to me, it's probably the greatest Metroidvania game I have ever played. And I've played a lot of Metroidvania games. You could even see that I didn't talk about Metroid Dread at all today. But I've also played Super Metroid. I played Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I've played a lot of Metroidvanias, but I think this is the one that I would point to and be like, this is the greatest one of all time.
Yeah, that's actually shocking. You didn't. I just realized. Yeah, you did not mention Dread at all.
Yeah, Dread is absolutely incredible, and don't get me wrong. And honestly, I should have brought it up for my honorable mentions. Now I'm thinking about it, but it's a little too late for that. Yeah. But no, back to Hollow Knight, because I think the thing that Hollow Knight has that a lot of video games really don't, because it's made by like indie developers and whatnot. You can tell there's a lot of passion built into the project itself. So like you can tell that somebody's heart and soul like fucking shredded went into this game. I think the last game I walked away feeling this impressed with was Celeste. Like real talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Hollow Knight is probably now one of my favorite games of all time. I'm literally obsessed with it, and now I am joining the legions of fans and crowds everywhere at every indie direct and every fucking announcement presentation in general. Where's Silk Song? Team Cherry, where's Silk Song?
And I'm going to be like, every time, just wait until a regular direct. It'll fucking come when it fucking comes.
Bro, it's never coming. It's canceled at this rate, oh god. But, no, so Hollow Knight was my 2021 game of the year.
Wow.
As I said, absolutely stunning. Eventually, obviously not this video, I'd like to do a top 10 video games list for both of us all time.
Oh god, that
would be stunning for me.
That's a gargantuan task.
Yeah, that's gonna be one where like we're saving that for a very special occasion.
Yeah. But yeah, that was 2021 in a nutshell. That was the final episode of Who the Hell Asked in 2021. What a journey, Slade. What a journey.
Yes, what a journey indeed. Let 2022 be filled with many more amazing video games, crazy ass announcements.
Yeah.
And its fair share of controversies as well, because let's be real, we love those.
Yeah, so I have a little thing I wrote to end us off. From Game Stonks to Game Explains. E3's resurrection and disaster. Great Nintendo Directs and terrible state of plays. Semiconductor shortages to no shortages of acquisitions and delays. And from All-Star Brawls to Multiverses, we had a smashing good time covering the news and our opinions on games in 2021. And we'll continue onward and forward to 2022, which looks to be one hell of a roller coaster. So hope you all can hop on board to the wild ride that is 2022 in gaming.
Damn it, Byron, that was beautiful, man.
We'll see you all January 2nd for the first episode of Who the Hell Asked in 2022.
That's it, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.